Hey everybody, I don't know about you, but as you've watched out over the world, the war in Russia and Ukraine is not just isolated to Eastern Europe. It's spread all over the world, and you can see it in market instabilities. You can see it here. People who do not think that that war is affecting you, all you got to do is look at gas prices. You look at your food prices. You see the global change that has happened. But you know something that's also affected investments as well. And I've said all along, legacy precious metals is your navigator. They're the ones that see you through to get to the next level. The good news about this is even with market volatility, market instability, you've got options. And gold prices are rising as investors turn to gold. And gold presents a hedge against this inflation and that protects you against the weakening dollar, which we are seeing. Legacy Precious Metals is the only company I trust to deal with gold and silver and the other precious metals. You need this investment. You need this as part of your portfolio to keep you buffered from what we're seeing in the world, war and volatility in the market. This is where you need to be. Call Legacy Precious Metals today. Be proactive about this. Get on board with it. Call them at 866-528-1903, 866-528-1903, or you can download their free investor's guide at legacypminvestments.com. legacypminvestments.com, your navigator in a volatile world of investments.
Do you want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered, and this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Okay, James, we're back. We've searched the world. We've scoured the world. It is Friday. It is time to look at this. A lot going on this week. The podcast has been great. We've had, a lot of good stuff going on here. We've had Sarah Carter. It's been, fun doing, looking at this, the politics world. But, Fridays, we need to take a step back. And so today we take a step back. And you and I have been scouring the globe, so to speak, to find the best. But I have to lead off with this one. This one is the one that just blows me away. Carol Baskin's husband is alive. I mean, am I the only one that missed this? I mean, I thought he was dead and fed to the lions.
We all saw this last night. We all assumed he was murdered or whatever the case is. Do you remember when? All right, so you guys, you remember the hype around it during the pandemic, right?
Oh yeah, the Tiger King. Everybody become Tiger Kings. Yeah.
It was really fun, and then it was really annoying.
They just passed a bill last year, at the end of last year, the Tiger King bill about big cats. I mean, this got really all the way up to Capitol Hill.
Right. And, this is a thing. And everyone it went from this is fun to I hate these people and I never want to see them again. Well, somehow they found themselves back on the news again because Carol Baskin's dead husband is more than alive and breathing and well.
Yeah, declared legally dead in 2002 after going missing 5 years earlier, has been found alive and well. Don Lewis's resurrection. But yet now they're saying that Baskins actually talked about this in 2021 and said that, that Homeland Security has said, he's alive. How did people miss this revelation? I mean, this is beginning to be, one of those, Paul McCartney is not Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney's dead kind of thing, how did we miss this?
People probably hate talking about this stuff, and they probably can't. Tiger King is no longer popular, but you think somebody would just come up and be like, hey, man, that's not true. He's not dead, right? Like no fact checking, no anything. Me. You know what? It made for a better story that he was dead, and now that there's a little time passed, we can say that he's alive, and then maybe it'll reignite the whatever Netflix wants to re-air about them.
It is amazing though. If I was Carol Baskin, I'd been accused of killing my husband, feeding him to lions all these years, then having him legally declared dead. And then all of a sudden in 2021, you find out he's alive. It seems like you would want, with all the hate that she was getting, that she was saying, hey, no, the dude's alive. He's in Costa Rica, you know?
He said, as long as you don't tell people I'm alive, you can keep whatever amount of money you want. That has to be it.
Yeah.
You hold on to all the cash. I'm going to, where did they find him?
Costa Rica.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure he was miserable in Costa Rica living on his own, where people, imagine you get to live in Costa Rica. People think you're dead. You change your name. He's probably living the dream right now. No social security number, just doing whatever he wants.
Yeah. I mean, Baskin went on to share her surprise at the news, adding, I didn't think he was capable of supporting himself. He took about $1 million down to Costa Rica. I had agreed to let him do that so he could prove to himself that he could make a living. As for what happened to the money in question, Baskin says she attempted to recover it, only to find there was only just $80,000 left because the investments he made were so bad. I mean, okay, something ain't right. Yeah, something ain't right. You know.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He probably made very good investments. She's probably living off those investments because she owns a zoo.
Yeah,
and zoos don't make money. Yeah, no, that's why they did. Listen. He's as much as I hate that show now. Those people were insane, and they all deserve to be locked up. But that man is the one who got out. He's been living the dream in Costa Rica alone with no one to bother him, and he's away from Carol Baskin, which was probably the best thing for him.
Yeah, it is wild. So, I mean, look, for those of you Netflix, phenomenon folks, I mean, look, Carol, I mean, what are we going to do now? Is Elvis going to pop back up somewhere? I mean, really, at this point, after,
Well, we just lost
Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie, yeah.
Funny you brought that up. That was a little sad.
It was sad.
Like, not that losing celebrities isn't sad, but like, I don't know. I was like, she kind of just didn't. She's been through hell, that woman. It's sad that it took her life.
Yeah,
early.
it did. I mean, being the daughter of Elvis and then going through all of it, and then
being married to Michael Jackson.
Being married to Michael Jackson. Being married to she was also married to Nicolas Cage. Okay,
that she's. I mean, at that point, you're looking for trouble. But rest in peace, Lisa Marie.
Yeah, God bless her. I mean,
that's like she's been through it, man. And like
she was.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not old enough to care about all this stuff, but I just saw that the other. I was like a week ago, and I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, and she was just at 2 days before was at the Golden Globes or whatever it was.
Right for her. Did you see the movie?
I have seen Elvis. It was interesting. It was you have to you have to be an Elvis person. Okay, I think to really get it. But at the same time,
my mom's an Elvis person. My uncle's an Elvis person. I know about it. I'm for it.
Oh yeah, I will say he died on my birthday.
Oh,
okay. Here's you the weird fact of life. Yeah, it was my 10th birthday. Or 11th, anyway, back when he died. And we were having a birthday party. It was after football practice. I had some of the football team over. We were having, Dad and them had cooked hamburgers, and we had ice cream. And all of a sudden, my next door neighbor, Betty West, like when I grew up in my neighborhoods, we never locked the doors. Now, my dad was a state trooper, but still, in our neighborhood, we never locked the doors. Nobody did. Because they never worried about alarm systems, which were unheard of at the time, because we had Betty. Betty was a stay-at-home mom who watched everything in the neighborhood. Betty was always that kind of, everybody has a Betty, I bet. There's a Betty somewhere, everywhere. And I remember when I got to be driving, I grew up on a dirt road, literally. It was the main road, which was about, 100 yards from the house, was paved, but our little side road, Hawthorne Place, was Hawthorne Lane, whatever they want to call it back then, was dirt. So when I started driving, one morning I was late going to work or going to school, and so I had a '70 Chevelle, and I was going out from work, and I going to school, and I put the gas down a little too hard and sprung some gravel, as teenagers are known to do. And my dad got home later that evening, and Betty met him out in the yard and said, was Douglas okay this morning? And Dad said, what do you mean, Betty? He said, well, he sure did have he sure did get out of here awful quick, slinging a lot of gravel everywhere.
Betty ratted you out so hard.
We never had to worry about it. Like I said, Betty knew everything. But anyway, Betty comes running across. and she's screaming. She's going, "He's dead! He's dead!" I mean, I'm kidding you not. Kids are out, everybody's out, and parents are out, and Betty's going, "He's dead! He's dead!" And I'm saying, somebody said, "Who is dead?" And we thought it was my next door neighbor, her husband, Winston, and it was not. And he said, "Elvis is dead," and it's like, oh Lord, So there's my memory of Elvis. But at least
that's traumatizing.
It is. Well, there was my birthday time, but it was. But anyway, God bless Lisa Marie and Priscilla. But back to the movie for a second. Everybody, I would encourage you to watch it if you don't have it misses some big chunks, especially later in life, of some of his comebacks. And if you're not sure of the sequencing, the timing, you might get thrown off a little bit, because everybody also fails to remember he was only. I mean, we're talking like a 20-year period. I mean, we're not talking like the Rolling Stones who have a 60-year career. This man literally had give or take 20 plus years of music in which he spent almost all of it. And if you watch the movie, no spoiler alerts, you'll find out they claim the reason was, in the movie is his manager, but that he never really left the U.S. and did all of his stuff in Las Vegas. But it was an interesting movie. What really took me to the part of Elvis was the fact that Priscilla and Lisa Marie both. Priscilla made a comment. She said if Elvis was alive, he would have liked this film. And I thought to myself, I said, can you get a better endorsement for the actuality of the film than Priscilla Presley herself? So, interestingly enough. All right. Moving on from the fantasy world of, Netflix and Elvis and everybody else, and Carol Baskin's husband being alive, which still floors me. I have a quick one here, and I just wanted to throw this in. A reporter who was researching George Santos. Now, George Santos, we've talked about briefly before. George Santos is a new congressman from New York who undoubtedly has lied about everything in his life. I mean, from his heritage to his, I heard one the other day that he had to have an ACL surgery because he got injured in volleyball, and turns out I don't think he ever played. But here was an interesting one that I found, James, and this just shows you that there's somewhere along the line, there's a real problem with this dude who right now, frankly, has a voting card in Congress. So just keep this in mind. This reporter, and this was on Twitter, Andrew Kaczynski said this. He was researching George Santos for a couple weeks now, and look at how many names he has found associated with the person we know as George Santos. He has found Anthony Santos, George Santos, Anthony DeVolder, George Anthony DeVolder, George DeVolder, George A.D. Santos, Anthony Zabrowski, George Anthony Santos DeVolder. Look, I get it. The Republicans don't have a big majority up there, and I get that everybody that Democrats lied, and I get that Biden still thinks he went to South Africa and got arrested. I get it. But my God, do we even know who this person is?
Okay, we're talking about George Santos.
Yes.
Can I just say something real quick about this? Because you brought him up, and you made me laugh, and it's one of the things that I was supposed to send you last night. So I went to the gym last night. I'm on the treadmill. And they have all the TVs on the treadmills, right? And I'm watching the basketball game in front of me. But if it just to go to show you how divided we are as a country sometimes, I look to my right to see CNN, and I look to my left and see Fox News. Okay?
Yeah.
And we can be honest about this. We cannot call those are biased news stations. It is what it is. One supports the Republican Party, one supports the Democratic Party.
Right.
On the left, the title is the Fox News Network, and it says LGBTQ couple pimp out their adopted sons, which is a very grabbing title.
Yeah.
On the right, I see Santos steals $3,000 from dying dog GoFundMe. And I just started laughing because I'm looking at this like, this is just like grab it and take it. But the Santos things made me laugh. Like the other one, if that's real, that's terrible. But to steal $3,000 from a dying dog GoFundMe is the most pathetic thing I can think of.
It was, and this is a Navy SEAL, undoubtedly. You know, it's like his dog, and he steals $3,000. I mean, folks, look, I've made this clear, and I know it upset some Republicans who want to do the whataboutisms with, Biden and the rest. I get it. Look, I think Warren should be held accountable. I think Blumenthal, should, the fact that he never went to Vietnam. Warren is not an Indian, and she used her Indian heritage to gain, something. I think all of those need to be punished. Okay, I do. I mean, I'm an equal opportunity, and I got in an interview a few weeks ago when somebody was actually, challenging me on this. They said, "Well, what about the Democrats?" And I said, "Look, at some point somebody's got to stand up." I mean, and Republicans, I mean, we talk about being, integrity and honesty. And look, I don't know George Santos. He was not in Congress, thank God, when I was there. He's just got there. But, I mean, this is a man who has a vote in Congress. He's one of 435 members. He has access to secret documents. He has access to, briefings that you and I don't have I don't have anymore, and the majority of Americans have never had. And he has basically lied about everything. I mean, all I can say is that they need to clear this up. McCarthy, I know, says he's not been, he's got to have due process. I don't disagree with McCarthy. But in some ways, I think for the integrity of the institution, maybe the ethics committee needs to hurry up, figure this out if there's something going wrong. Otherwise, I mean, it just sort of lends to the narrative. And this is what I'll say. I mean, he may deep down be a good guy who just don't know how to tell the truth. But at a certain point in time, it just lends to the farcical nature of Congress when this is a member and this is the kind of stuff that keeps coming out. I mean,
right.
it just,
for sure.
and it's not like it stops. It's just like, it's every day we're getting something else about this.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100%.
But it's just, look, it's just nuts. But anyway, here on Fridays, James, we like to delve into the real world and then back outside to the woo-hoo-hoo. Here we go. Well, I found out something, and this is from listening, and I give proper credit to the Joe Rogan podcast. I was on, as we've talked about being on treadmill, I was on treadmill and listening to Joe Rogan, and I have now found out there's the theory out there that is being propagated that the city of Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis that Plato talked about, and now there's some discussion that it was even discussed as early back as in ancient Egypt days, was not actually underwater. In repeat, it was and not in the ocean now, but actually is in, I kid you not, the Sahara Desert on the western part of Africa.
Yeah, that makes sense since we're talking about one of the most supposed to be this underwater group of, I guess, Atlanteans and mermaids and whatever the hell they are.
Well,
listen,
it's weird.
If that's true though, and there was an Atlantis. I know it's not supposed to be underwater, which is super disappointing because that's the whole point of it. But calling it Atlantis, it could, like, why Atlantis, I guess, is my question. Why isn't it just any place that existed?
Well, now they're they're saying it's the eye of the Sahara is what they're looking at is being this context of the eye, the Rickchok structure, which most people don't even know exists. Okay, and if you're out there and listening to us today and you want to look this up, it's RICHAT structure. And it looks down, and it does look like an eye, and it's a circular kind of format. It sort of resembles what Plato had described, the concentric circles and the rings. It sort of, it looks like what Plato had talked about. And this is in Mauritania, which is, I mean, the part of this is a country called Mauritania. Now, this is in, like I said, West Africa. It's extremely difficult to get to. Okay, I mean, this is. You can't just, this is, literal third world, fourth world kind of country. I mean, there's nothing there, supplies, planes. I mean, just getting there is almost impossible. So a lot of it is satellite pictures, but those who have been there, the interesting thing that brought it to my attention this Atlantis deal was that and again, how science, and this is the sort of my angle on the Friday story is, what they were talking about, these two researchers on the Rogan podcast said, is that nobody wants to discuss that there may have been more recent, if you would, ocean, intrusions into the Sahara Desert. Now, they've all, over millions of years, they say that ocean, the Sahara was underwater, this kind of thing. But the look at this and the salt content and others will lend you to believe that this happened 12,000 years ago and not millions of years ago. And they laid this all out. But it was really interesting to me that the part of this, whether you believe in Atlantis, don't believe in Atlantis, irrelevant. The part that got me is they said nobody in the climate change world and nobody in the science world who have been making these other statements about Atlantis or all these other ancient civilizations and the apocalyptic, nature of what happens in some of these areas, is they're not wanting to research this. In fact, they're being classified as kooks, or they're being called names. And I bring this up because, James, if we've gotten into a world in which science, and you can only take it, and again, whether you believe in Atlantis or a city or where it's there or not, although it's on ancient maps and everything else, if you've gotten to where now scientists and the academia are such gatekeepers of the world that they won't take on the possibility that something they publish is wrong, then what do we have science for?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at a point.
That's
it
insane.
is, but
it's there. I don't know what the harm in researching it is. Is it money?
I guess it proves that all the books that they wrote probably wasn't right. But what's really interesting, and these two that were on the Rogan,
that's
the two
crazy.
that were on the Rogan podcast. Let me see if I can pull up their names.
That's the thing. Just because there's a bunch of stuff written about it that might be wrong, so we're not going to.
Yeah, that I might be wrong. Yeah,
Jimmy
Corsetti and Ben Van Kerwick. It was on January 18th. It was just a recently, podcast that's brand new. But they were talking about how others who, have done some writing on some things that are a little bit out there, now in academia, they're being called racist and they're being called, all this other stuff. And it's like, why would you not want to research this in a certain way? I mean, who cares where the city of Atlantis was, if it existed, didn't exist? But I mean, if you're putting this stuff out there, that the water flow, it goes to a whole issue of the climate change and some of the other issues that they may not want to discuss, that we've had these astronomical catastrophic events that have literally changed, societal in these craters and because I think one of the interesting things they pointed out in the podcast is that the older cultures didn't look at comets like we did. We think comets are pretty, and we look at them and we study them. They looked at them as cataclysmic events because some of historically they caused major change, and because they hit the earth. And so, but it's interesting to me. And the reason I bring this story up, again, not an issue of Atlantis. You can believe it, don't believe it, whatever you want to believe, or it's in West Africa, or you can believe it's in the Azores, or you can believe it's somewhere in the Bahamas. I don't really care. But what I do care about is this scientific integrity issue from the left. It appears that if you challenge the status quo, and especially in academia, or you challenge what is science of what they believe, then you're going to be right. I mean, some of these guys are being called racist. I mean, how do you bring white supremacy into this?
Yeah, that's a little confusing. I guess my question is it something that's been peer reviewed and they're like, this is if there's like 100 people that have seen this or whatever, and everyone is looking at it and going, this is completely wrong, you guys are idiots, here are the reasons and facts, and it has nothing to do with race or has nothing to do with what's just been written already, fine, I'll take your word for it, you guys are scientists as well. But to just call a racist and move on then is like, and it's not, it doesn't align with our version of global warming. Well, maybe there's more information you need. Like maybe it'll help us now, you idiot.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's it. But it's to me, it's not the opening of the academic mind. I've seen more the closing of the academic mind, whether it has to do with COVID research, whether it has to do with vaccine research. Again, not making a comment either way, but to challenge. I've always, when I was growing up, science was you have a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, and you find out if you do experiments to right or wrong. Okay. I believe that X is going to happen. I test X happened. Okay. I can show it scientifically. To me, that's scientific thought. Scientific thought is, well, here's what I believe. I'm going to find a test that confirms that. And then everybody else is wrong. And it goes to the left mentality, which I'm going to tie into another real world story that is very frustrating to me. And that was what just happened. And again, it shows the left really is a closed mind. And frankly, conservatives, you can't fall into this trap as well. But the left in closed mindedness is this NHL player from Philadelphia, Provorov. He's a player for them. He's Russian Orthodox, and they had their Pride Night in Philadelphia. Well, he didn't come out for warm-ups because they were going to make all the players wear a pride-centric jersey and have their sticks were taped with pride colors. And he said, look, that's against my faith beliefs, and I'm just not going to participate in the pregame. He said, but he played in the game. And people, I mean, there's a sports reporter, it went viral on one of the Twitters that, he just was sobbing. Why can this, homophobic? It's like, wait, okay. He didn't say anything bad about people. He didn't name call people. He didn't, say that, homosexual community or the transgender community. He didn't even talk about it. He just said, look, I'm not going to participate in this. At what point have we become so, and I'm concerned, James, that maybe COVID did this to us, that we became so concerned that everybody think alike that we're losing the ability for those to have true, just freedom of expression. That's what freedom is being able to choose something different than other people. And two really wildly different stories here, one about Atlantis in the Sahara, and then one about an NHL player. But to me, they all go into this, this wild idea of you can't think for yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's what the news talks about. This is why I don't watch the news anymore, because it's always this person did this wrong. We're going to get rid of that person. We're not going to talk about that person anymore. And you can't think outside. It's basically you can't think outside of your own out of your group that you're in, right? So, first of all, and I don't really want to get like fully into it, but like there was that case where the guy didn't want to make the cakes, right? I know I'm being very vague about that.
The cake bake, yeah.
And that case was won, and it was over with. And then he won. Like he blatantly won that case. And look, and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, because I don't know. I don't know where I fall on that line as far as like he didn't want to make. All right, if it was a vulgar cake, fine. But if he didn't want to make cake just because that's who they were, if that's how you feel, it is what it is. But he won that case, regardless of how you feel.
Yeah, well,
and
yeah, I mean, and again, I'll go ahead.
No, and I just think like, okay, the guy didn't wear a T-shirt, right? The guy literally didn't wear a T-shirt. That's what you're saying. And like, if you want to attack him about it, in your forum blog online, talking about like he's homophobic, fine, you can say that. You can post that if you want. You're probably wrong, but to attack the guy and put him on this public thing, like as if him not wearing a shirt means that he hates all gay people, sounds kind of insane.
Well, it is. And you go back to the cake bake case out of Colorado and some others that have come up as well, photography and others. And really there was some more deeper legal issues in Colorado about what Colorado had done to sort of force compliance. But what bothered me was in that case is again, and I've always operated on, if I have a business that has something that I don't like, or they treat me badly, or they have views that I don't agree with, you know what I don't do? I just don't shop them. I don't,
100%.
I don't go out and protest them. I don't do anything else. If they want to do it and they can find an audience, go do it. And what bothered me the most about that continuation is how many other bakers in that same county could have baked this cake. And instead, yeah,
that's the thing, is that they needed to make it clear that these were
the
bad people.
But if we continue to let the left, if we're going down this right, and again, folks, you hear it from me all the time. Right and left, we need to get together here, and that true freedom is true freedom, and it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you messy, just like a constitutional republic, which is what we have. We don't have a democracy. Email me at dougcollins.com, at dougcollinspodcast.com. There's a little email button you can waif away there. Plenty of you do already. But we're not a democracy in the truest sense of the word. We're a constitutional republic. So let's get this straight. But if we're not available to have other opinions and live within that and not prescribe conformity from a governmental level, then we got a problem as we go. But as we go, and speaking of as we go, and now we're coming into the final bell here, I want to leave us with a good story here. Now, Finland, and I've been to Sweden. I've not been to Finland. I've been to Scandinavia. It's a beautiful part of the world. If you ever have a chance to go there, please go. It's an amazing, amazing place. And the beauty is just really there. But Finland has been voted the happiest country on the earth for, a number of years now. And I run across this quick article, and it had a few little advices that said, how do you become, happy? Now, again, not to think that, Finland is Disneyland on the north. It's, they have their own problems and suicide issues and everything. But, for the most part, the people are happy. James, here's what they said were the 3 keys to happiness in Finland. The first one is don't compare. They don't compare themselves with each other. In other words, they don't, as we have here in the United States, keep up with the Joneses. Even the rich and the wealthy, they just all, they're together. The materialistic part doesn't seem to, be as prominent in Finland. And I can see how that could make you happy, because if you're content in what you have, I'll even go back to my faith tradition, my biblical tradition, that when the scripture says, he says Paul said, he said, I'm content. He said, the issue is being content. He said, I've been wealthy, I've been poor. He said, I prefer to be wealthy, but he said, but I've been both. He said, but the issue is I'm content in wherever I am. And I think that's what Finland is saying here. And we see this all the time. The other thing is nature, just getting outside. And I think, believe me, James, I mean, you're in Texas now, I'm in Georgia and Florida and all over the country. I love being outside. Just get me outside. Put me in the woods. Put me in the beach, wherever it may be.
I grew up as a kid in the woods in New Jersey. You just send us out, and we'll be back when my mom calls us or ring you hear that
or
bell.
Or just gets there. Just get out and do it. And then the last one that they said, James, and we'll end it on this, was a trust in the community. And I think today we've had some of these wild ideas from, we've got a congressman who doesn't seem to know who he is. We have Carol Baskin didn't know her husband was dead. We now find out Sahara Desert, maybe Atlantis. I mean, there's so many things that you just don't know. It comes back to trust in community. And they made the argument that they did the wallet test. In other words, they put a wallet out on the ground and see how many people pick it up. Around the world, terrible results. In Finland, 11 out of the 12 people in Finland would actually take it back to the owner.
Okay, first of all, those people are stupid. Take the money. No, I'm just kidding. Doug, you mentioned before, it's funny you said that. You mentioned before that you had an open door policy in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Well, so did I. And so did my mother when she was a kid. When we were kids, one time, this is not a joke. This is the joke we always make when we see each other. One of my best friends, he calls me and he goes, "Hey man, where are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" I'm with my folks. We're driving upstate to see my aunt. And he goes, "Well, I'm in your house and you don't have any food."
Yeah.
Because people, he knew his door was unlocked. He would go back, he'd go inside, and he'd go grab some food and he'd leave because he was one of my best friends. Yeah. Our doors were always open. We trusted everybody in our neighborhoods. And, your best friends are just walk in and out, let you know they're there, whatever it is. And I feel like that probably just doesn't exist. I hope that when I'm older and I live in a decent neighborhood, hopefully, that's the same policy that I have. Like, I miss that like, hey, just come on over.
Yeah, it is. And you just come in and the way we knew you were a stranger was you knocked.
Yeah. Like, who the hell is the door that's knocking?
Yeah, who rung the doorbell?
The idiot who knocked on the door.
It did. All right, folks, this is the Friday wrap-up of what's going in the world. James and I chair, and we go all week trying to find you the best and the brightest and throw a theme together. The theme of it this year is, folks, take a deep breath. Be content. Get along. You'll live a lot longer, and the world will be a better place for it, too. See you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast.
Hey folks, MyPillow is excited to bring to you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, you're going to get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. $99.99. Get a mattress pillow topper. Look, they come in all sizes. They got all kinds of stuff. Blankets. They've got duvets. They got quilts. They got comforters. They got body pillows. They got bolster pillows. They got all that big discounts. And also, they're extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1, 2023, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and for everyone you know. Folks, and just from a personal note here, I have the Giza Dream Sheets. They're on my bed right now. I slept on them last night. Some of the best sheets that we and Lisa and I have ever owned. They are worth, at this price, they're a steal. My wife and I have bought bed sheets, linens at much higher cost. It's supposedly much higher quality. These from MyPillow are at the highest of quality, and at a price like this, you can't beat it. So go now to MyPillow.com, use promo code Collins, COLLINS, or call 1-800-986-3994, and you'll get huge discounts on all the MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done while qualities last. And remember, put in that promo code Collins for these discounts.